You want to look perfect, but you just don't dare to get feedback. You need to get out. You need to be bold and own your mistakes, get feedback, learn from it, iterate fast. And I realized maybe the universe is giving me a slap that what I'm trying to do there is not the right thing. Everybody expects quick rewards and quick successes because in the time of social media, you see all these amazingly successful people. For sure on social media, you don't see the hardship. For sure, you don't see all the failures. Nobody talks about that.
You're up high, give me 5, give me everything you can tell me now, and tell me the things you have learned. Running and crying, falling and flying. Over to you.
Hi, Five Guys. My name is Joel, or as you say here, Xin Chao, Deuten La Joel. And my hobby and passion is the topic of growth. I love to grow and I love self-development. And I guess there can't be any guest that fits into this direction more perfectly than Lars. And I realized that growth often happens in different dimensions. Usually people grow in 3 of them, and quite often they are sequential, so they follow each other, and sometimes they work in parallel. And these 3 dimensions are also all start with the W. It's wealth, wisdom, and well-being. And as you can see, he's quite fit, so I guess well-being is on track here. Business seems to be on track as well, so we decided let's talk a little bit about wisdom. And we have a format where we try to derive the best knowledge when it comes to wisdom, which is, please tell me about the 5 things you wish you knew when you were 20. Because the idea is that this way, we find out the best learnings a person made since he or she was 20. And we'll record this stuff here as a podcast, so later on you can also listen to it in case you missed one of the 5 things. Yeah, and other than that, I think all is set. Have a warm welcome, Lars. Nice to have you here.
Hey Joel, nice to be here. And I'm very special, happy that this is the last session of tonight. I think everybody's happy, so let's make it count.
Okay, that's the plan so far. Lars, I know it's slightly impolite to ask, but I think it's interesting to understand how old someone is so that we know what's the time period we're having now in retrospect. How old are you right now?
I'm going to be 57 in 2 months.
Kidding me, 57. Okay, so 37 years, in the back. But let's get started right away. What would you say? What is the first thing you wish you knew when you were 20?
So it's actually a deep question. And I did sit down and prepare the session because I was wondering, I mean, there are a lot of obvious things like, I don't know, buy Apple shares, get some Bitcoins, which I wish I could have told my younger self. But I think this is not what we have about today. So the first big learning over the last 30 years is, I'm pretty sure you know what Imposter-Syndrom is, right?
Yes.
So this feeling that how can I be the right person in that position, or this is not me. And I had to struggle all my life with that. And when I was young, I come from Bavaria, which is a rural area in Germany, and I come from a really small village. And I always had this feeling, well, this is the little Lars from that small village. I can't do that. These people are so successful and they're so smart, and I'm not. So there were a lot of chances and a lot of topics and things where I, in hindsight, thought I should have done it, but I never really did it because I was like, oh no, little Lars from Ober-Opfingen, to give it a name. Yeah, the village is as small as it sounds. Is not the person who can do that. And if I could somehow go back in time and said, like, kick myself in the ass and like, fuck it, be bold and be successful, just go for it and don't don't be scared of failing, I think then this would be my number one topic.
Funnily enough, I had Jolt in an interview, your business coach. He's sitting here in the second row over there. And he taught me that quite often it happens that people develop certain truths in their head, which form their identity. And then their identity basically leads to a certain behavior. And in your case, you just told kind of a truth where you said, okay, the fact that I come from a small village makes me think that only people from a larger context, or you need to have more money, be more relevant, and that this formed your identity. Did I get this right?
Yeah, it's a combination. It's not only a small village. I grew up with a single mom. We never had much money. There were times where we didn't had so much food to eat, and I didn't go on a super elite university. I just went to a normal school. So these were all topics which came together where I thought like, hey, this is, I doubt myself that I can achieve that or that I'm the right person. And I always looked at other people and I was like, wow, they're so smart and what they achieve. And over the last 30 years, I just learned that most people, some are, but most people are not that smart. They just dare to try it. And if you dare to try it, you can achieve a lot more. And I did not. I did watch, I don't know if any of you watched the documentation, The Thinking Game, for Demis Hassabis, the founder of DeepMind. I can recommend it. It's on YouTube. It's free. It's a fascinating story. And the guy is a little bit younger than me, but just slightly younger. So I'm a little bit older. And he comes from the same background, but he always believed in himself and he wanted to change the world. And when he watched the documentation, I was like, holy shit, if I would have dared, maybe I could have been also one of these guys. Maybe I could even have joined him or whatever, because I was dreaming of AI when I was young and my head was full of it. I was such a nerd, but I never dared that I could be the person who further humankind. But he did.
Yesterday, I was driving in a cab together with a board member of a big company, and I told her I also have this misunderstanding in my past that I always mixed up that someone who is rich also has a relevant, smart character or a lot of knowledge in them, which isn't true. It doesn't mean that impact follows money. Sometimes it's just coincidence, right? And now I'm curious. Sometimes in life, there are kind of portal moments. So you step through a portal, something happens, and the room behind that portal looks totally different. So it's a moment of overcoming things. Has it been the same with you in that respect, or what you just talked, that there was one big moment that changed your life, or was it rather a line of things, different milestones that came together?
Well, certainly, we live in a society where value of a human being is measured in money. And that's a problem. And that's going to be even a much bigger problem in the future when 60 or 70% of all people will lose their jobs. If we do not give them value, real value besides money, then we will have a mob with the pitchforks on the street. So as of me, I always dreamed of being a millionaire. And I wanted to become a millionaire with 40. I slightly delayed it. I made it with 42. And that actually changed it dramatically. Not because I have money. Money is gone already. I divorced and that's it. But the perception of the people towards me changed. Because the people suddenly thought like, ooh, this guy made millions. He must be smart. I'm still the same little guy from that little village. But the people think different about me, and now you listen to me. And that gave me for sure a lot of self-confidence.
Why is it so that the perception exists that being rich means being relevant, being smart, being successful, being this and that?
I think that's the whole concept of capitalism. and the society in which we are living. In the old Greek, it was not necessarily the case. I think Socrates was really, really poor, but he was very, very well received because of what he provided. And I think this is something what we need to get back. But as of today, the world we are living is clearly not like that.
Have you heard about the Van Gogh story? How Van Gogh's paintings became famous and expensive?
No, not really.
There's this story. Van Gogh lived in the south of France, and his brother and the wife of his brother, they lived in Paris and had a gallery. And he was always sending pictures, art pieces, up to Paris together with letters. And in these letters, he was always complaining about how bad it is to be so poor and how hard life is. And he did this over and over again. And then all of a sudden, a problem popped up because Van Gogh died, and half a year later, his brother died as well. So you had the widow of the brother of Van Gogh who thought, okay, what am I doing now with these hundreds of paintings here? And she tried to sell them, opened up the gallery again, and nothing happened. And then she realized there was a second value she didn't touch at all, the letters. So she took the different letters, printed a book out of it, what it feels like to be an artist, and all this misery and being poor. And all of a sudden, all people went crazy because they wanted to see the picture that's behind the story. So it was all about the storytelling instead of the pure art at the beginning. But anyway, I digress. This is about you. So we learned your first learning. It's if I translate it, it's trust yourself more. No need to doubt yourself, right?
Yeah, be bold. Be bold and dare.
Be bold and dare. All right. What's the second thing?
I'm actually happy that my wife is not sitting in the audience. She would laugh so hard. I think one of the learnings I had over the last 30 years is that listening is so much more powerful than speaking. Yeah, they know me a little bit. I'm not necessarily good in that, but I'm much better than when I was young. The thing is, there is saying like silence is golden. If you are silent and listen to people and give them room to speak, you will learn something about that. And also in business, it helps a lot. I mean, the most successful sales strategy is pretty much just asking people a question, then they tell you blah, 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 what's all wrong, and then all you do is you repeat it. You repeat it, and they're like, oh, finally there's someone who understands me. And that is something. And when I was young, if you're insecure, and I was very insecure, so I hide this insecurity behind a mountain of words, a lot of words. I just talk a lot because I think like if I talk a lot, then maybe I sound smart, which is not necessarily true. I remember when I was in school, I will never forget it. It was a traumatic experience. I came in a new class. There's a guy sitting next to me, a new guy, and I thought like, I need to talk because he was silent. So I like blah, 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 blah. And after 10 minutes, he turns around and is like, is it possible that you just shut up, please? And I was like, holy shit. So I did exactly the wrong. And the older I get, the more I realize just to listen is a lot more powerful.
Funnily, it often happens, right, that we talk to someone else, but you ask a question, the other one answers, but you do not think about what the person is answering, but think about what you're saying next. Do you know this phenomenon? And this is quite true what you're saying. And also, what you just said with the sales, I remember this thing with, sell me this pen, right? And usually bad salespeople go like, okay, this pen has such a nice grip, it looks so nice, the blue is so deep, blah, blah, blah. And actually the correct way would have been, okay, how do you write? What do you need your pen for? What's important for you? But since the audience laughed when you said that silence is golden and it's more important to listen than to talk, how do you manage to overcome this, as you said, compensation, of talking a lot whenever you feel insecure?
But it's a completely different question that doesn't go in the past. I think, I definitely don't talk as much anymore and I'm much better in listening. However, and I'm not insecure anymore. Not so much. there is still some imposter-syndrome left. I'm not saying this went completely. However, sometimes I kind of like to hear myself talk, and then I just talk too much. And my wife always said, like, please, shut up. So.
And how did you manage to overcome these insecurities? Was it the effect with being a millionaire, what you just said, that you had success and that people are now started to listen to you? Or was there also other aspects and ways of feeling more comfortable with yourself?
A couple of things. So when Ari was speaking, thank you for that. That resonated a lot to me when she answered the question for women, because like we men are also big softies inside. Even if it doesn't look like that. So it's a mixture out of experience, positive feedback by being successful, and also what I did was a very strategic career development. So what I did when I was younger, I was like, I want people to take me more serious. So, and how do you do that? So when I'm in a conference, so I sit here and you listen to me. So by definition, I am more important than you because you listen to me. So, and when I started, for sure, I was sitting there and I was listening. And I was thinking, I wanna sit there and I wanna be a speaker, because then you build a reputation of being more important. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm smarter than you. Absolutely not. I'm actually convinced that a lot of people here in the audience are smarter than me, but I look smarter because I sit here. So what I did is I went to every single conference in my area in IT at this time, and I found out where the speakers were staying, so the speaker hotel where the conference put the speakers, and I booked a room in the speaker hotel. And then I spent every single night at the bar in the speaker hotel, drinking with the speakers. And literally after 2 or 3 years, I kind of belonged to the establishment. And then people said like, hey Lars, don't you want to also have a talk? And I'm like, strike. Yeah. And that's how I started to speak. Not because back in the time, as I'm old, as you heard, it was not so that there was a call for papers and a committee. It was more like, oh yeah, this guy is cool, let's have him on stage. And so this I did. Second, I wrote a book. Because when you write a book, you're also smart. You must be smart, yeah, when you write a book. Oh, I'm an author. So I contributed to a very important book in my area. So like, okay, book, check. Speaker, check. And what is missing? I became a lecturer at the university. So when you're a lecturer at the university, then you're there. So when you look at my CV, the people look like, oh, author, so many publications, lecturer. Okay, he must be a meta expert. He's smart. I'm not, but I look smarter.
You just mentioned Ariane Hingst. She's ridiculously successful in soccer. And I can remember I was talking to her and she said, you know, the tricky part of being a top athlete is you gave it all, you did nothing wrong, and still you lose the game. So my question to you is, since winning and losing also defines a personality somehow, how did you manage to come over negative experiences?
Well, I asked that question before and I got a good answer, but I think the key is resilience. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, you will see I wrote for my school, I wrote School of Hard Knocks. And so when you come from a poor environment in a not so nice area, to be clear, back in the days, and you grow up, so you need to fight for everything. And then also having a single mom, being the eldest brother, so I am the responsible one. So I also had to take care of the family. My mom was working all day, and in the night she was a waitress in a club. So I had to cook or clean the house and stuff like that. So I think this is, it sounds tough. And as a kid, I hated it, every single second of it. But it's actually good for building a strong, resilient character. Because unlike other kids who get everything for free and everything is easy, and then when they experience hardships, it's very difficult for them because they don't know how to deal with this in this situation.
Okay, so we had number 1 and we had number 2. Listening is more important than talking. What's number 3?
Okay, it's a little bit connected to the Imposter-Syndrom. So I need to be a little bit spiritual. I'm now nearly 57 years old, and I'm very spiritual. And for 30 years, I did pretty much every meditation, every esoteric stuff is out there. I did, but I never understood what meditation is. And just recently, I understood that the voice we have in our head, the voice which talking to me, commenting, talking in German, talking in English, or whatever language you are, this voice is not me. The me is when the voice is silent. And then I was thinking about that every important decision in my life, everything I did, I always did in the space between the voice, where I did not think about it, where I just act. Like, be it in a crisis, be it in a critical situation, I did not think, I did not argue with myself, I just am and acted. And that was very powerful for me. And because in the second I start to listen to my inner voice, it's just bullshit. And then there are a lot of reasons not to do things. There are a lot of reasons not to get up, not to try it, not to do it, and so on. So just not listening and just make the leap of faith and jump and do it was always the right decision. It was every single time, every important, like coming to Vietnam was one of the hardest things in my life. When I came here nearly 13 years ago, this country was very different. Nobody spoke English. There was no digital infrastructure. It was rough. It was hard. People were weird. I didn't understand the Vietnamese soul. People were not weird. I didn't understand them, to be clear. Yeah, and I just made this decision in between the thoughts. I just went here, said, this is it. And then I had nights where I couldn't sleep, where I felt like crying because it was really horrible. But you need to pull through. And now we are here. So, and I think this is, again, proof of that this is the right decision. Not listening to the inner voice, to these doubts, this constant comments, nasty voice sometimes.
I mean, we're both Germans, and in Germany, it's, quite a problem to do mistakes. We built cars. Cars need to be perfect because people could die. We had great poets and authors and all that stuff. So for different cultural reasons, it's hard for us to make mistakes and to try out things. I think there are so many people who struggle to follow the just do it lesson you just said. What was your key? I mean, I understood you said as soon as the noise in my head gets calm and I can, relax in a way, I just jump in and do the stuff. But I guess there's more to it, isn't it?
I was thinking about it. I don't think so, actually. I think this is the real me, that I'm really a lot more adventurous, a lot more open and dare a lot more if the voice is silent. And yes, for sure, I learned a lot. I've been living in the US for a couple of years, and I learned a lot from the Americans. I learned, my learning there from a German point of view. Okay, let me share you a story. So I sold my company to Kayak and it's the world's largest flight search engine, and there are only MIT and Harvard grads working there. And for me, coming from a small German university, MIT and Harvard is like, wow, this is like, these people are the smartest engineers on earth. So then I came there, and they said, like, Lars, you're German, and we have a problem with quality. Can you be our VP engineering? So they actually made me responsible for the whole engineers. Suddenly I had 200 engineers working for me, 90% Harvard and MIT. And none of them can code. They are so bad. They are so horribly bad. I've never in my life have seen so bad engineers ever. But what they learn is they're really good in business and in talking. And there I learned that what I think is important, like being precise and know your domain and make everything perfect, is not important. The perception other people have, the business mindset, all these things these people have, and this is what they learn. They learn how to do business, and they're the best in the world, absolutely. It's stunning. Just don't let them code something. But for that, we have AI now.
And now you said, okay, these moments of being calm, of just doing it, they help you overcome your fears and you just dive into it. Now, the problem is quite a few decisions aren't one-way doors. So you could always take them back, right? You could have, sit in Vietnam in the night, crying out loud, feeling alone, and say, okay, I rewind everything. So the making the decision is just one thing, but sticking to it is a totally different one. What makes you stick to your decisions even though it gets hard?
Yeah, so in my question to Ari, I said that you were not here. So for me, one very, very important idol is Sylvester Stallone in Rocky Balboa. And the whole story resonates a lot with me. And he said in this movie that it doesn't matter how often you go down. It only matters how often you get up again. And that is always my motto. This is what I'm following. Because, and I think this is also what we're suffering, because we have a society where everybody expects quick rewards and quick successes. Because in the time of social media, you see all these amazingly successful people and so on and so on. So people think like, how it's so easy to be successful and why it doesn't work for me. But for sure on social media, you don't see the hardship. For sure, you don't see all the failures. Nobody talks about that. Yeah, you only see the successes. And that gives a complete wrong perception of how the world is. And in the end, anything what is valuable and what is worth for your life, we need to work hard for.
I'm also a Rocky Balboa fan, so maybe next time when you're doing a big beach party, we do the motto of boxing. So coming in boxer pants with some gloves on.
You want to box?
No. Let's change topics. Let's talk about your fourth thing.
As a little bit connected to that, is that, so when I was 15 years old, it was 85. In 85, only weirdos went to the gym. Arnold Schwarzenegger or bodybuilder. Normal people didn't go to the gym. Gym culture like we have today, that doesn't exist. So for me, I never understood. So when I think about young people, like my young nephews and cousins, they have such an advantage. They can go with 16 to the gym, and with 18 or 19, they look fabulous. Yeah. I didn't know it. There was no internet. There was nobody who tell you, go to the gym, do some proper workout and build some muscles, yeah, and build a healthy body. And strength physical strength gives you mental armor to go through difficulties. Like you said, any sport, but particularly, so my experience is physical strength, because there are also people who do marathon running or something. My view is that doesn't help that much, but in the end, humans are different, whatever somebody likes, yeah. But for me, it's the physical strength. And if I could go back in time, I would have tried to tell me, go to the gym and train a little bit. It's not to be a bodybuilder, just to be clear, just a basic, proper setup, because I didn't know it.
Funnily enough, the body seems to be some kind of showing of your inner self in general. I mean, I can remember I was sitting at my doctor and she was taking blood from me. And she also knew a relative of mine and said, oh yeah, I checked her blood as well. And she's in good health, even though she's slightly too fat, to be honest. And I said, yes, might get problematic. And she said, yes, but this is her armor against the outer world, that she, gains fat in a way that she feels secure and safe. And funnily enough, the same thing happens the other way around. I went to a boxing club. And in that boxing club, I can remember once there was an actor. He came and I saw him for a total week. He didn't appear to the training. I said, what's wrong? What have you been doing? He said, well, I couldn't close my shoes for a whole week because it's so demanding here. And so I took a look at the other members and realized almost all of them were quite aggressive, insecure people. And then I asked the trainer, I said, what's wrong here? Why are these people here? He said, they feel insecure. This is why they stick to aggressiveness. And training helps them to canalize this in a positive way and, learn values and all that stuff. So what happened to you then? Did you do sports from then on really intensely, or what was your way out of this insecurity?
That's a little bit a too long story. So yes, I did martial arts when I was young, Taekwondo. I really liked it, but I have health problems. So I broke my left femur here 4 times in my life already. 4 times, like with 7, with 14, with 19, and with 44. And so nobody knows why. The doctors nowadays, back in the days, the technology was not good enough. And now they say it doesn't really matter, but you broke it so much that bone is fucked up. Is what it is. So sometimes I walk weird. This is because of that. Yeah. Because I have a big metal in there. And every single time when I did extensive sport, that happened. So I love to run. Yeah, and whenever I start running, and literally I broke my leg running. So I did run in the school, in the hallway to the class, and break my leg. And then you know how traumatic this is when you're in the school. Everybody is in the class. It's a silent hallway because I'm late. And then you break your leg. It hurts like shit. And then you need to cry for help, and the door is open, and like 700 students come out and look at you. It's like not nice, to be clear. And the last time with 44 was on the treadmill in the gym. Just running on the treadmill, and it snapped again. So I'm a slow learner, so I'm not running. So you will never see me running ever again.
What's your interpretation of this? What do you think your body wants to tell you by this extreme reaction?
I'm not really sure if we should go there. That's a very good and deep question. I'm happy to answer it, but it goes a little bit deep. So when I was young, I was not a nice guy. My dream was actually to go to the army and kill people. So where you said you were clear, you want to be a football star, my dream was the French Foreign Legion, which is completely insane, to be clear. And I went to the army. I went also in Germany to the worst what you can get, the mountain hunters, and I broke my leg the second time. And the first time I broke it when I was having a fight with a guy. So, but I still don't listen to my body. Yeah, and it happens again and again, and I still don't listen. And only later, when I was still in the army, I had a sinusitis, and the doctor didn't treat it well. So because they didn't give me antibiotics, I nearly died because I got blood poisoning. I fell in a coma. They rushed me in the hospital. And when I woke up, they closed my eyes because it was unclear if I ever can see again. And then you lay there, pre-iPhone, yeah, pre-internet, in the hospital, far away from home, so no friends around, and you can't see shit. That is a good way to think about the life decisions you made in your life. And I realized that maybe this is not the right way in my life. Maybe the universe is giving me a slap that what I'm trying to do there is not the right thing. And I changed my stance to bring more love and peace. Sounds really greasy and weird, but really to bring more love and peace into the world. And since then, things are much better.
And did I get this right? You also go slowly through life? Is that also correct? That because you said you never see me run, did this also transfer to your way of thinking?
Wow, I've never thought about that. No, I think yes and no. So you should ask my team. So I think very quickly. But the problem is that I suffer from what you just said in the beginning. You know, I'm very impatient, and the people talk so slow, and I already know what they're going to say. I'm already 3 steps further down the road. So I pace myself, and the weird thing is that I'm the most patient person you will know. I'm very impatient in small things, and I'm very, very, very patient for the long run. So, because good things need a while.
Yeah, I learned that the good travels slow. So sometimes it feels in life that all the bad people, all the bully guys, you know, they get along and they get rich and they get successful. But I guess the good behavior, it just travels slower. Okay, so if I counted correctly, one more thing is missing.
Yeah, last one. I just look in my notes. And that's also, something I wish I would have known when I'm younger, which is perfection is the enemy of progress. I'm a very German, very perfect person. Everything needs to be perfect. And then you do a product and it needs to be perfect before you can release it. But in the end, perfection is just procrastination. And I don't know, kind of procrastination in a suit, you know. You want to look perfect, but you just don't dare to get feedback. Yeah, you need to get out. You need to be bold and own your mistakes, get feedback, learn from it, iterate fast. Yeah, so kind of ship it ugly, fix it, get better. Very quickly, very quickly. By the way, that's one attitude I see a lot in Vietnam and I'm struggling with, because here it's not perfection, but the fear of judgment. So people don't want to deliver if it's not perfect because they feel like it's not good enough. And that's a big problem in a very fast-living world. And I wish I would have known that earlier, because I did a couple of products in the past, and I think we could have done much better if you're just faster, quicker, adapt more, and ready also for negative feedback.
It's so funny. I heard the sentence that perfectionism is insecurities in high heels. And no, you just said it's also procrastination in a suit. Do you consider this aspect of trying to be perfect, that it appears together with a certain way of thinking or acting or behaving? Is there a character trait behind perfectionism?
Yeah, absolutely. It's connected to insecurities. It's always insecurities. Because if you're secure and you're bold, you're like, okay, it's not perfect. I know it. Tell me what you think about it. Give me honest feedback. And even if the people say like, this is good, this sucks, this is shit, thank you. By the way, one learning I had is also what once I gained more confidence in my life, I usually ask people for negative feedback because I don't need to hear that I'm awesome. I know it deep in myself, yeah. But for sure, I can do better. I can do a lot better, and I'm not perfect. And so, any feedback where somebody would say like, "Hey, here this could have been done better," or "Here you should have said that." My coach is sitting there; he does that a lot, telling me these things. That's very, very helpful for me because then I can learn something.
I can remember I once interviewed a coach who is specialized in the top 1%. He said, I want to work with the top 1% athletes, business people, poker players, whatsoever. And he said quite the same thing. He said, most people struggle to become successful because they only give 80%. And the reason for that is that they are afraid to not make it to the top. And if so, they can always say, oh, I didn't give it all. I just did 80%. I could have done it if I only gave 100%. And on the other hand, there's this aspect what you just mentioned, done is better than perfect, right? So I'm curious, how did you manage to overcome this fear and this thinking of, okay, I don't want to show it until it's perfect. Let's get out with it. How did you do that? To get it off, to get out?
Well, I answered you that I don't listen to the inner voice. That's the key. So it just, I mean, sounds like Nike, but just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. And I strongly believe that this is the key for success because once I start to question myself, I'm not giving my best. I will not be the best. And by the way, there is also a large fear to be successful. Because like, if I give 100%, what if I win that? Am I good enough then? Do I deserve that? Will I be the person? And can I sustain that pace? I think there is one what is a sport guy? I don't know the word right now. One person I admire is Markus Rühl. He's a bodybuilder, a German bodybuilder, who had tremendous successes. He was an absolute asshole. He says this about himself, to be clear. And then later he realized and he changed his life. And he gives very, very open interviews and speaks very, very open about his life. And he said that the thing is like once you are Mr. Olympia, then you are on a complete different stress to get it again. And again and again, and then you will fail. It's inevitable at a certain point because young people and new people come up, and that's really difficult. So, and for me, it's like the same. What if I'm successful and I made a successful startup? What if my next startup is not successful and I fail again, and so on? And this is so maybe. I'm the guy, hey, I'm successful. I just don't try a second time. So I can't fail. So there's a certain truth in that.
I mean, the success also makes lonely, right? There's usually only one on the top. From what I hear, it's quite hard to be successful as well because only few people can relate to you anymore.
Hello? Okay. So yes, absolutely. I'm not a successful sport person, but as a successful entrepreneur, I can absolutely confirm that you get lonely. Because if you start a company, it's like a family, you know? You eat together, you are a team, you do everything together. And these are the people you spend, 18 hours a day together, and you work and you eat. And then later, when the company becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and suddenly you're the person who decide if you get a raise or you get fired, that there's a power shift there. And it's very difficult to create friendships which can go through that. And in the end, I learned the hard way that over the last 20 years, I had at least 100 people I spent years or sometimes decades with me who told me, we are friends, we blah, blah, blah. But in the second they leave the company, they're just gone out of my life. They never contact me again. And that hurt. That hurts. But in the end, it's also inevitable. It's how life is. Because in the end, if I'm the guy who decides if you get a raise or not, we can't be equal friends because we are not equal. Yeah, and that is not a good basis or foundation for friendship.
Maybe my last question before we try to summarize all your 5 aspects. What do the people look like you surround yourself with?
Very good question. I love it. So I have a passion for growth. I love to grow people. So I try to surround myself with people who are hungry for growth. And this is exactly the reason why I am in this country. Because people here predominantly are super hungry for success. That is also the reason why the majority of my team are female, because they are even more hungry for success. And I get a large happiness, content, and good feelings out of seeing these people grow. And tonight, we have our year-end party, which is a big thing in Vietnam. And this year we decided to invite our alumni, the ones in good standing. So I invited people which we haven't reached out sometimes for years. And I wrote them an email and said like, hey, you have been part of the journey. You have been part of our success, and we would love to invite you to party with us. Yeah, and some of the emails I got back were heartbreaking because people wrote me after 3 years. They wrote me, "My God, it's so meaningful," and they are forever thankful for the time there. And I'm very, very happy, and that makes me super happy. So, long answer and short answer is, people who want to grow, and I can help to grow.
Okay, Mr. Lars Jankowfsky. Number 1, forget the imposter-syndrome. Just do it. Be bold and brave. Number 2, silence is more important than talking. Listening is more important than talking. Number 3, just do it. Doing is better than just wanting to. Number 4, physical strength might be an armor for your soul. And last but not least, perfection is the enemy of progress. Forget perfectionism. Does this feel complete?
Certainly not, but I mean, it's top 5. But I mean, we don't want to sit here till the next 3 days and you don't want to listen to me. So I think it's good enough.
Well, then, thanks a lot. And what do you guys think? Was that all right?
Wow, das war ein inspirierendes Gespräch, oder? Denk dran, abonnier den Podcast unbedingt, damit du keine Episode verpasst, und teile ihn auch total gerne mit deinen Freunden oder Kollegen. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Bleib inspiriert und neugierig. Dein Joel. Gib mir 5 oder mehr, gib mir alles, was du mir sagen kannst, und sag